Okay, so we got a 2002 Mazda Tribute here. I'm going to be replacing the power steering pump. It's doing a lot of whining, making a lot of noises. It's still working, but we're going to replace this, and hopefully this is going to stop this noise that's going on. It's getting worse. So this is the new part. Actually, I got this from Amazon. I usually order a lot of stuff from eBay, but Amazon is a little faster, and they had the same part, so I got it from there. And I've got this in like a couple days with the prime. So we're going to go ahead and just get the hood up here and get started. Like I said, if you're having a lot of whining issues and everything, this could be the culprit with yours as well. Okay, so we got the hood up, and first thing we done was took a jack, and we got a block wood just got right under the oil pan, and we just put some tension on it. You don't really have to lift it. So we're going to be removing this mount up here. So we're going to go ahead. I think we'll just get started. You know, we got a ground wire stuff here. We'll get started on this mount and this 10mm for this bracket, and we'll get us a drip pan down here. We're going to worry about drain. It'll be changing this fluid, but we'll get a pan under here just to catch it when we start taking stuff loose. We can always take it to the car wash and spray it off and everything, but I think I'm going to at least try to get the belt off before I go to taking some lines loose, but we're going to get started up here. Okay, so I've got an 18mm for these big bolts here, and we're going to go ahead and start working on them. I'll need to go ahead and get my 10mm and take this line loose as well. But just got a 18, a little bit of an extension in my long-handled ratchet here. Okay, so just took that 10mm out of that right there. We went ahead and disconnected the negative cable over there while we were at it, and just getting ready to get on these 18mm here. We've got the engine supported, so it's not going anywhere. Okay, so you'll have that 18 holding to the ground. Don't forget to put that back, and then you'll have the nut on the stud underneath that to get loose. And there's those two loose. We're just going to get on this back here now. Okay, and I would point out you're going to need a cheater bar or an extended handle. These are really tight, getting them loose. Right, and there's that bolt out of there. Okay, now we're going to get on these two bolts down here. Those are 18s as well. Okay, now we have it loose. We're going to just spin this up here a little bit, this little bracket. I'm going to work on wiggling this up and out of here. If we have to, we can move some more stuff here. Okay, I went ahead and disconnected this. You just squeeze on both sides of this. Just pull that sensor off there. I'm just wiggling this out. Just kind of worked it up over them studs. I'm just turning it sideways, and there's that piece out of the way. And you can see the mount. We're going to go ahead and take that mount out of there as well. We've got a bolt hidden up here, so we're going to have to at very least get this over out of our way so we can get to that. And we've got, you can see a bolt back there and then down here, so we're going to need to get this out of the way to get some room. Okay, so I'm loosening the reservoir. We got a 10mm on the stud right here, and then one right here. Take those loose, and we've got a wire that's just kind of running through this. We're just going to pull this back over and out of the way. So we just got these two. I got this loose already, and no need to disconnect it. We can just pull it over here out of the way. Okay, now the nut down here doesn't have to come all the way off. It'll just lift up and off of there. So we should be able to get this lifted up here now. We just got to move this wire a little bit. It's got some little stud clips there. once we get that, we should be able to just pull it over here out of the way. You know, like I said, it kind of hooks through that, so just pull that wire back through there. And okay, we got a connector here. Forgot about that. So just take and disconnect that. We can pull, you just pull up on that right there a little bit. Okay, this clip here has a couple of clips on each side. I used a little pick tool, the best thing to get a hold of that. Just got a couple little nubs, so get under both of those. Just slightly pull up and work one side at a time and it'll pop right off of there. Okay, we've got a clip here with a 10mm for the AC line. It's kind of slightly in the way. We're going to just take that nut out so we can slide that over so you can see the bolt down there kind of hiding in the back. And then these here are easy to get to, and then we'll have this thing completely loose. Okay, so there's the AC, and then that lower line has a clip on there. Now you can see we can get in there and get to that with both of those pulled out of the way. Okay, these down here are 13s, and I've just got a long extension going down here to it. And I'm just going to start taking those 3 out. There, they're easily to get to now. Okay, there's those 3 bolts out. They wasn't too difficult. Now we should be able to work this up and out of here now. Just wiggle it around these hoses and stuff here, but it should come right up and out of here. And there's that mount. So this mount still appears to be in okay shape, but that's how you would go about replacing that as well. Okay, now before we go to taking this belt off, we're going to try to get on this bolt right here, and we want to try to break this loose before we do that. We don't need to take it completely out. You can if you want, but we're going to want to break it loose while the belt's on here. It's just going to make it easier. I do have a tool, I think, for holding this, but if you can devise something to hold this steel, you're just going to have to hold it from spinning. It's just going to want to spin on you. So get something to hold this. I'm going to see if I can't just get a wrench on here and break it loose without having to do much of anything. Okay, the belt wasn't enough to hold it. I kind of figured it might not be. What I've done, I've got a 10mm socket here. There is if you come right down here, right in here, you can feel it with your finger. Can't really show you. No, I can try. Let's see. Right there. You see that 10mm? All I've done is slipped this socket and just held that on that as I rotated this around, and of course that bumps up against this. You just hold it on there kind of steady. It doesn't take much to hold it on, that studded bolt. Just hold it there steady. It keeps this from turning while you break this loose. And also, so I had this, I've got it loose, you can see here. I had this on here, but also utilized another wrench, kind of like doubled them up on here as just a way to get some extra leverage. Well, if I can do this, it's like this, and then you can get out here a couple foot because it was really pretty tight, and so I had to use that to break that loose. So just double it up on there like that, and it'll come right loose for you. So it's just as loose as it can be now. We can just spin it out of there with our fingers. Get that off of there. So that's all that holds that on there. Like I said, I can just take that back out. And at that point, this is just being held on by the splines. But we're going to go ahead and get on the tensioner. I'm going to try to get to it from the top here. You can see there's a square 3/8 point right there that you get a hold of. I'm going to try to fit my extended get my adapter on there and fit that down there. We're gonna go ahead and pop this belt off. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna work on getting some of these lines. I'm gonna get a drip pan, and I don't want all this going on my belt, so I'm just gonna let it drain out that way. You know, we're gonna have to fill it with some fresh, good fluid. We don't want to put a new pump on and have old fluid in here. Okay, so you can see I got this extended handle, plenty of leverage. I'm just pulling back to the front of the vehicle and just fixing to pop it off here. Okay, we got the belt completely off. Should be able to just wiggle this. You can see the splines. It just wiggles right off there. Got the splines that go in there. So just that nut is all that holds it on there. And now we can clearly see this. Pretty easy to get to at this point. So I think we'll go ahead and take these. I can get these here out real quick. We got these 3 for this cover. Looks like we got one up here and here, just going all around, as you can see. So we just got to work on getting these here. Let's see what size they are. I know that's a 10 right there, but we will see. These look like 12s. We'll find out. Okay, there's those 3 bolts. Looks like we got the pump loose itself. Okay, there's like 6 of these little 10 millimeters that hold this plate, and there's a couple of 13s that hold it at the top. Just show you what I've been working on, taking all of these little 10 millimeter nuts. Now I didn't notice that as I was taking these toppings out, this is broken here. I don't think it's going to matter much. There's so many bolts holding this whole thing that I believe that it will be fine, but I may work on trying to get a replacement for this at a later time. But you can see how it's just broken and separated right there from this piece. And this is the piece that has the 2 13s going into the top there. So that just, I guess, from the vibration broken. Now there's a Torx right there, so you'll need to take that out. I'll figure out what size it is, but I'm just going to pull it over there out of the way for now. This is completely loose. I can pull this up now. Okay, you can see I've got this pulled up here. We've got some Torx holding this in here. We're just going to swap everything over, but I was able to pull these hoses back up here, and said I'm just going to get a pan under there to catch any when I take these lines loose. I'm going to go ahead and figure out what size that is. But we're just going to work on, you have to hold it with crescent or hold it with the wrench and then break it loose. Turn this counterclockwise to get this hose loose. And then these Torx here, we got to get those out for this line, and we'll just swap them over to our new one. But that's all there is to that. It's a shame that this is broken, I guess, from the vibration, but really with the it's got like 6 of these. There's no way that this plate is going to move. And then plus the pump itself has bolts going through that and holding it as well. So but when I find one at a later date, I'm going to replace that. It's just the way I like things to be, the way they're supposed to be, so I'll have to hunt one of those down. Okay, I don't need to take this off of mine, but this is a T30 right here. You'll need to disconnect that clamp from that part. So a T30 for this little clamp. Okay, these on top of the pump are T40s to take these, holding this line. Okay, I've slid that clamp back and I'm pushing this hose back. I was just going to disconnect it here. This is extremely tight. I'm going to have to get it on the bench. So I'm just pushing this back with a screwdriver. It's kind of stuck on there. Check your hoses. I'm probably going to have to replace this one. It looks like it's got some cracking. Okay, so I took that hose, got it dripping in the pan down there. It wasn't very much in there. I just pulled it over so it wasn't going on the pulleys. Just had that drain, and I kind of poured what was in here out. I'm just getting ready. I'm going to get a wrench holding this, and then I'm going to get on this right here. Okay, so this lower part is a 15/16 for this big part here, or you can use a crescent. And then this is a 17. I'm just going to go counterclockwise just like any other nut or bolt. And we're going to hold the lower one, keep the whole thing from spinning. So we're going to kind of oppose one another with the force so we're not spinning the whole thing out of there. And we're going to break this loose. Shouldn't take much. Okay, I stand corrected on this. This thing was extremely tight. I had to use my 2-foot cheater pipe and hold it with my arm on this side to crack it loose. It was really tight, a lot tighter than it should have been. So just working on getting this here loose, and we're going to go ahead and swap this thing over. Okay, spray this thing down liberally with WD-40 or penetrating oil or whatever you got. This thing is like really, this may be the most trouble you have, because this thing was really not wanting to come off. It looks like even the threads have gotten boogered up at one time. But like with any pipe thread, put some pipe tape back on it when you put it back on to make sure that it's going to seal. So we've got all this. We're going to take it over here and swap this piece, T40. We're going to get it over here and hold it still on the bench and get those T40s out and swap this pipe over to the new pump. Okay, so I've got them sitting side by side here, and just doing a quick comparison. There's a little bit of differences, but don't imagine it matters. And I'm just getting ready to swap this directly back over the way that it goes on to here. And just had it on the bench, taking it off. And this is plugged off with this plastic cap for now. But here they are. So we're just going to swap that over. Got it sitting in the same orientation, so there's no confusion about putting it back the right way. Okay, so I got that tube back on. This is just ready to screw off. We're going to go ahead and just get it back over into the vehicle, and we'll start threading this in here first and get it fastened back down. And we're going to put a little white pipe tape on those threads. Before we do that, we're just going to put some pipe tape on that. Okay, so just got this threaded back in. I had some difficulty with a new one, so I just put the old fitting on here. I've got this kind of loose now. I'll tighten it up as I get it into place. But we got this line on and this piece on. I'm just getting ready to set it into place down here where it goes, and we'll work on getting the cover back on here. Just as easy as that. Okay, so it's got this bracket, getting ready to set this piece. We got the pump down there, we'll set this back over it. Okay, so this round part was a little bit bigger than the old one, so I had to take a file and file the inside of this bracket a little bit to get it to fit on there. I was having trouble getting it to mount up, and I didn't know why at first. And then I compared it, and this was a little bigger and more rounded. Didn't want to get started on there, so I had to make it a little bigger. And now it's sitting into place, and we're going to go ahead and snug this line up and pop this other line over here back on, and work on getting all of our little 10 millimeters back into place, and then this upper bracket here. Okay, so I've got the little tins tightened back down, this hose back on. We just got a couple more put in here. Okay, actually 3 more, these 12s. I'm just going to go ahead and snug those down. Okay, with those tight, we'll go ahead and slip our pulley back on. Just push it right on there. We're just going to kind of hold it the same way we took it off by getting there on the stud with the wrench, and we'll just tighten it with our wrench. Okay, so we got the belt back on. I'm just going to get some fluid in it. We're going to just turn the wheel and work the air out next. And I want to check, make sure there's no leaks before I go ahead and put the motor mount back into place, but we got everything else snugged down. And notice this is not lining up like it was, but it's not really a big deal. I guess when I moved this fitting, made the bracket not line up just right. Okay, so I just cranked it up for a minute. I was checking for leaks and working the air, just turning the wheel back and forth. We got it topped off and everything looks good. So we're going to go ahead and just work on getting our mount back into place. Now we don't have much to put in. Okay, so I'm just working on getting these 3 bolts back into this mount, and like I said, I got these lines, the brackets off them, we'll put them back just to get that back bolt in. So we're just doing that. We'll get this snug down. Okay, so we got that part of the mount snug down. I'm going to go ahead and just stick this coolant bottle back into place. Just slips over the stud and down over that one there. We'll go ahead and just stick it back in place, put the wire back in here. Up, and we got to get our sensor on the bottom, can't forget that. Okay, we got that. We're just getting ready to put this piece back on for a mount. Gonna work it back around here. Just kind of angle it back in. Okay, so got this little bolt back down in this. It goes into the bracket. And don't forget about your ground. Got the other one snugged down. And just getting ready to snug this ground back down a little bit. And looks like we're about finished up here in that 10mm right there that holds this. Okay, so I'm just getting ready to take my jack out now that I've got it in the oil pan. I'm going to go ahead and get it out of the way. We've got everything finished up here. Negative cables back on. Just going to take and drive it around a bit and just test it out. Make sure everything's doing right. Okay, so we got it all put back together here. Everything's snugged up. Don't have any leaks or anything, and it's definitely took care of a lot of the noise. I said it was driving fine, but the noise was just getting worse and worse. It's probably just a matter of time before it went out. So anyway, that's going to do it for this video. I hope you found it helpful on replacing this power steering pump. If you did, please give the video a like. As always, I invite you to subscribe. Thanks for watching.